Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis. Of course, as you can see with William Green here, it's been a while since we last did sort of an orchid chit chat, I guess. So both of us decided, like, hey, summer's kind of winding to an end for those of us who are teachers. That's not me. Just in case anyone's wondering. And I figured it'd be a good time to check in and see how some catasetums are doing, and compare and contrast growing in a tent in Colorado versus growing outside in south central Texas,
During a heat wave.
during an ongoing, months long, years long, maybe decades long, if you really think about it, heat wave. And just talk about some of the challenges that each of us are having with our catasetums, and they're a little bit different. I've got one that I discovered is pretty looks good right now, but will probably be in big trouble if I don't treat it tonight. And then William's also got some plants that could use a little TLC, and then we both have some that are doing great. So we'll show the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. Mostly good, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump right in. So I'm going to jump in. So this is the one, this is my Mormodia Jumbo World. This guy, have never really had problems with him, but this year when the leaves came out, they just had these really horrible bumps all over them. And I noticed that you put a post on the orchid board earlier in the season about edema, leaf edema.
Mhm.
And I guess that's what that is. But they had it, the very first little leaves that started pushing out at the beginning of the season had it. And so, and it's just, I don't know, it's really bad. And it's weird because a couple years ago, the leaves on this plant were pristine. I mean, they just came out absolutely flawless. So I don't know what that is about. And then the other issue that the plant had was that it had a bulb here on the back. And this year I decided I was going to put all of the catasetums in the back of the tent where I have a clear wall up against a window. So I figured these plants love sun. I'm going to have them right up against the window so they're going to get sunlight. And what happened? I had bulbs started to rot. So I had a couple different catasetums. I had a Clowesia over here and I had this one. The bulb in the back, just the center of it, the growing point, just rotted out, and then the whole bulb ended up rotting. So my theory on that is that water was getting in the growing point, and then the heat from the sun was just causing it to fester. That's my guess, because I've never had rots on my catasetums before. So just
I think
goes to show sometimes location is everything.
yeah, for sure, especially with the sun.
Yeah, I mean it gets hot and you don't realize it, and one localized place might just be really too warm. So
So
anyway,
I want
so
everybody to
I'm
see,
hoping
like,
I was going to get lots of bulbs on this plant this year and have lots of spikes, but it turns out there's only two bulbs.
I mean, I want everybody to look at that and be like, holy cow, that's a growing goal right there. That's a happy plant. That looks amazing. Um, that looks like it's going to have a great show when it finally blooms here in a couple months. Um, and
Hopefully around the winter solstice is when it usually blooms.
okay, and then I'll show you the division that I got of you from that very same plant a couple years ago as one of my ugly ones.
Awkward.
It just won't wake up. Like, it's got fat bulbs. It's absorbing this back bulb here, so it's brown, but it's not rot. It's just absorbing because for some reason it just doesn't want to put out a new growth. Like I have a handful of plants this year that are doing that. They're just being stubborn, and for whatever reason, that plant that you just showed that's absolutely spectacular, sometimes this happens with your catasetums, and you just don't have any idea why. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, that's so weird. I'm wondering, did the heat hit so hard that the plants think it's dry season? You know what I mean? Like, Do
I
they
don't
need?
know. To be honest, I wasn't able to do very well with it last year. And I figured, well, it got chopped up and, whatever. It's not, I'll give it another year. And then this year just said, no, I don't want to
It's
wake
just
up.
no, we're not doing
It,
it.
it just hates Texas.
That's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this one, I'm this one I am chopping up into 1 and 2 bulb divisions after it blooms sometime in January and February. So I'm gonna have, I don't know, probably 8 divisions of this thing. So I think that was a good idea that somebody posted an orchid board about having just like a Catasetum bulb, back bulb trading post,
Mhm.
I thought that was a really good idea.
I think that could be a really good idea, especially since you can send out one bulb divisions and do just fine. I mean, you sent me this was 2 or 3, I think you sent, and I still messed it up somehow. I
Oh
don't know what
God.
happened. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades with this group too, so it just shows that
It
sometimes
really, yeah, the grower plays a large part, but the plant has to like where it is too.
you can only lead the horse to water. You can't make it drink.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What
All
else you
right,
got?
so I was going to jump through. So I've got, let's see, I got my little notes, my notes here. Uh, this plant, this plant, and this plant all have something in common. These are all Clowesia Rebecca Northern.
Oh wow.
They are all different. They're all from different parents. So this is a pretty old one. This is called Grapefruit Pink. Um, it's been out there for a long time. I think there was a grapefruit pink with a CCM from several decades ago, quite a few decades ago. And you can see that it just kind of grows along one after the other. This year's bulb doesn't look a whole lot bigger than last year's bulb, maybe a little bit. So I'm wondering if that's not as big as it gets. I feel like I've seen Clowesia bulbs much bigger than that, but that's all it's doing this year. And what I like about this one is that it pushes multiple spikes per bulb. Even last year when it was just one smaller bulb, it put out 3 spikes just on this one. So I like how floriferous this is, but I don't really like the shape of the flower. So
I
this
think
one's pretty happy. This is in pure sphagnum in a terracotta pot.
hmm. I mean, that's a nice one. I bet over the next couple of months that front lead will just get fatter and fatter and fatter.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they typically get about that tall. It's really, you'll see them just bulb up
Yeah.
when they get larger.
Or the second one that I'm going to show you, this is from Sunset Valley Orchids' most recent offering of Rebecca Northern a couple years ago. And this one had pretty serious leaf edema as well. And this was another one that had a growth rot. So I had it right up against the window. And as this growth was pushing out, I noticed it just stopped. And when I looked in there, it was all black. And so I kind
Oh,
of pulled out the dead stuff. And so it's just kind of stopped. And then when it stopped, it put out 2 additional ones. So I wasn't too upset about that because I've seen these with lots of growths. But the flowers on this one are pretty nice. It hasn't put out it hasn't put out more than 2 spikes per bulb, but I'm hoping maybe this year we'll get, I think last year it had 13 on 1, so I was hoping maybe 13 on 2, or maybe 26 on 2 or something this year. But again, I'm really not happy with the way the leaves have come out. They're just they almost have a wrinkly quality to them. So I don't know,
and
not
that
sure.
that edema it's purely cosmetic. It doesn't seem to affect the growth of the plant at all. And then as the plant gets older or the growth gets a little larger, excuse me, there's a fly here. The plant gets a little larger. A lot of time the leaf, I think, stretches out and maybe kind of pulls that edema flat, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like taking a wrinkly shirt and then you put the spray on it and then you kind of pull it flat. It doesn't entirely go away, but it's not quite as noticeable as those leaves stretch out a bit.
Right.
But I noticed that those bulbs are much taller than that first one you showed. Like that,
Yeah, it's the size of the plant. I mean, this is a younger, this is a, from a very small division. This is from seed. So, but yeah, the bulbs are larger. You can see the leaves are bigger. Just the plant in general is just a bigger, more robust looking plant. You can also see this one started out, growing back in March, April, and the bulb is largely complete in terms of shape, whereas this one still has a lot to go
yeah,
to get. It doesn't even have a visible bulb on it yet.
yeah.
So I would assume that's gonna, they're gonna bloom at different times because of that. So there's those two. And then the last one, oh, it's my pride and joy, Stephen.
Hmm.
So I put a wish out on my Instagram stories. I was like, does anyone have this particular version of Rebecca Northern? I really love it. And someone said, yes, I have one, and they sent me a bulb. So they sent me this one bulb back a few months ago, and it's put out 2 grows. So this is Rebecca Northern Mikabe. And the great thing about Mikabe is that the flowers are wide open. One of the things that I don't like about some of the Clowesia clones is that they're really cupped flowers. Mikabe's wide open. And a couple months after I received this, clone received, not from me, but received an award of merit in the American Orchid Society. So now it's Mikabe AOS, and I'm super, super happy to have this one.
That's cool. That one has a unique color, right? Is that lighter than normal? Is my memory telling me that correctly?
For me, I don't know so much about color. I think it has the standard kind of pinkish color, but it's the shape of the flowers. They're just so open
Yeah.
versus the other ones that are much more cupped. So we will see if this guy blooms for me this winter, and hopefully we'll have 3 different Rebecca Northerns to compare. So for someone who tries to shy away from the hybrids, here are 3 that I was okay getting.
I mean, the scent alone on those things almost makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, it seems like everybody loves a good Rebecca Northern. So
For sure.
here they
And
are.
they were hard to find for a while too. I don't think they're super easy to find now, but
Mm-mm.
like,
No, and I always get messages from people in Europe saying, damn you and your access to Catasetum types. We just don't have those here. And I'm like, why not?
yeah,
Why isn't somebody cloning these things? There's got to be a lab in Europe that can do this. There's a demand. I don't know.
yeah.
So
That's interesting. I'm going to continue with my good, bad, and ugly, and show you some ugly. So before we start talking, I was going through the collection and just to see what I should grab, and sometimes that causes me to do a little deeper digging than what I normally do. Rather, I'll go out and water the plants every day, and then sometimes I don't spend as much time as I should. And this this Cycnoches is just encrusted in spider mites. And so can you see, like, it's to the point where there's a web?
I
Can you
can see the web for sure. If you back up just a little bit, I think yeah, right there. Oh no, come back. It looks good there. You can see it there. Yeah, you can definitely see the streaking and the discoloration from yeah, it's like the leaves have had the juice sucked out of them. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
and you can see how those cells are just being drained by little tiny arachnid vampires pulling all those juices out, and it has that classic look. And so this is the stage where the plant crashes essentially. So it looks like it's still alive, but you can see the webbing and the damage to the leaves. Like these tiny little white spots add up, and they're just not useful. Those cells aren't photosynthesizing anymore, so the plant isn't able to grow the way it should. So I'm going to hit this hard with some systemics. I need to check my notes to see what I still have and what has been most effective in the past, and just start nuking before I do that, I'm gonna hit it with a bunch of insecticidal or horticultural soap,
Oh, okay.
and just to help the dying process, to kill off some of those larger adults, and then I'll hit it with systemic tonight, once the sun has gone down, and hit all of my catasetums, I think.
I know that there's something called Avid, I think, AVID, that's supposed to be specifically for spider mites.
Avid is the best that you can buy for that, but it's expensive.
Very
It's
expensive,
really,
yeah.
yeah. So
I've heard of like whole orchid societies buying one bottle of it and then like sharing it.
yeah, yeah, I could see that for sure. But what else you got? I see a tall one there.
I've got all of my Cycnoches collection here. Last year I went a little bit crazy. If you are a member of the Sunset Valley Orchids email list, you know that when those email lists come out and it's like a race to the page to find the most exciting stuff. So I got a Cycnoches Coopery a couple years ago, and it came out with its first spike last year, and the flowers were just like wow, 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 wow. So I bought 3 more. So this is Coopery. Coopery's got a spike on it. Really excited about that. And this is almost exactly where it was at this time last year. So I would expect that the flowers will be open around the beginning of September.
Yeah.
So last year's bulb, this year's bulb is slightly larger, but you know, nothing like, sometimes you see this one and then the next one's like ridiculously now. So I don't know. This is the first time that I've tried the actual pet method where you have a reservoir in the bottom, rocks, and then the top part for me is sphagnum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I've left these plants alone for a total of about 5 weeks this summer. So other than my automatic watering system, I think having a little reservoir down here was actually really helpful for this guy, because it doesn't look like it's missed a beat. But they actually all have done pretty well.
That
Anyway,
looks like a
so
monstrous root system in there too.
yeah, right. Aren't those nice?
Yeah. Top to bottom. They're all the way in the bottom of the well. They're all the way
Big
on the
juicy
side.
ones. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like these guys are they're very particular about their roots being moist, but not wet, but this, but that. I don't know. Anyway, so this is Coopery with a spike on it. Looking forward to that. Next one, this is a hybrid. This is Richard Brandon by Milana's Song, also known as Fire Embers. So it's a pretty complex hybrid, mostly Coopery and Varsvichii, but it's got a nice spike on it here. And it's about the same place as Coopery, so I'm hoping they'll be in spike, or they'll be in bloom more or less the same time. And you can really see versus last year, this year's bulb is really quite a bit bigger. So
Yeah,
that's always a good sign. This one is in a plastic pot in just nothing but just sphagnum all the way down.
Looks great.
Let's see. And this is another hybrid. This one is wait a minute. No, it's not. Sorry. This is the hybrid. Jumbo Cooper by Dark Swan. Its hybrid name is Bronze Vixen. Bronze Vixen. So the other hybrid in this one, I have no idea what they're going to look like. So I'm hoping for, I don't know what I'm hoping for. Just spectacular. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, the cool thing about these Cycnoches is the Catasetums, the female flowers are like, I got Catasetum females,
Yeah.
the green helmet goblins, but the female Cycnoches, I kind of actually prefer over male. So you can have like average male Cycnoches flowers, but then the females are just stunning.
Yeah.
And they last for weeks.
Yeah, that's a winning combo. Stunning, big, stunning flowers that smell great and last for a long time.
Yep.
Not something you see too often with this group in general. So yeah, that's a winner.
Yeah.
So hoping we will see a spike on Bronze Vixen at some point in the fall. And then finally, this is Varsvichii. and you can see compared to last year's bulb, this one's got quite a bit taller, and it looks like it's still got quite a bit to go. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this one blooms later in the season.
Yeah, that sounds right. A little later, towards the end of the year.
A
And
lot of the things that I read online said it blooms almost after the leaves have dropped. So we'll see if that's the case. But
yeah,
it's still got quite a bit. I think it's still got a few more inches to grow, and it looks pretty happy. And again, plastic spot, just sphagnum moss, nothing fancy.
I mean that's how Fred Clark grows them, just sphagnum,
Yeah,
and that's it in a hothouse.
yeah. And this time of year when their roots are well established and they're pulling up tons of water, it is hard to keep them watered. I mean, even in dense sphagnum, soaking it, I'll take it to the sink until it's just drenched, and a couple days later, it's starting to feel a little bit. Oh, it might need to be watered again. It's just
Yeah,
they just suck up that water so much.
yeah, it's amazing.
So
They put all that energy into 3 or 4 months of growth out of the year, and they need all that water and fertilizer.
yeah. And something that I did do different this year was I bought some Osmocote, and I put Osmocote pellets on top of the medium so that they got a little bit more fertilizer.
Hmm.
In your conversation with Fred, he says something about July and August pumping up the fertilizer levels for those 2 months specifically. And I was like, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens.
yeah. I mean, for mine, I'm hitting them with I hit my whole collection with a sort of a low dose of the synthetically derived fertilizers with just about every watering. Um, and I water every day. But then for my catasetums, I've gone back to using the little cups with
Okay.
the purely organic. So they're getting both. They're getting
Okay.
synthetic and the purely organic, kind of for the same reason that you're talking about. You can hit them and manipulate as you want, but then still have a little extra, um, and it does well, as we can see with Fong Sing.
Well, hello there, Fong Sing.
So for everyone who is watching, this was a gift from William to me some years ago.
I
And
came down and visited.
that's right.
And then, yeah, you can actually watch the video of my visit on my channel, or maybe on your channel too.
It was a while ago, but yeah, and maybe on both of ours. I don't remember, but yeah. And so this thing is just, this thing gets palm tree sized every year. And I got it awarded, I don't know, 2 years ago. So you must have given it to me 3 or 4 years ago. And then I got it awarded, I think, 2 years ago on female flowers.
Yeah, it may have been before COVID, actually.
It was, yeah. Yeah. So, and then I've even divided it and gave this to a piece to a friend since then as well. So, every year it just puts out huge growth, zero spider mites, um, getting blasted with light, PET method, Texas heat, loves it. I'm actually really hoping to get male flowers this year. I think they're awardable as well. So it'd be really cool to get female flowers, which are already awarded, and then have the male flowers in a separate award
On the same plant,
on
yeah.
the same plant. That'd be super cool.
That'd be fantastic. I
And it
think
has been done. Mark Margolis, who is a catasetum grower in Florida, has said he's got 1 or 2 plants where he's done that.
oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
It's not many plants that will give you two completely different sets of flowers and you get each one awarded on a.
And
So what is it like? How does that look on the plant's name? Is it like, do both award? Is it like one award? You know what I mean?
so if you go to Orchid Pro, and you see the awards, sometimes you'll see the same plant that's awarded twice. Let's say it gets an AM, and then a couple of years later it gets a certificate of cultural merit. For example, someone grew an amazing plant and it's huge, and so they get an award. So you'll see 2 different awards from separate years. So that's probably how it would be presented here. because the description, the award description would be totally different because the flowers are so different. It would
Right.
be different years, if I got awarded a show, it would be awarded a show instead of the monthly judging center. So yeah, it would just be two totally separate awards for the same plant, which is kind of cool.
That is cool. I think that's all I've got. This is all my Catasetums. It went from like 1 to this in just a couple of years, and I really like the Clowesia and the Cycnoches. Those are like, so far those are the ones that I really like. Catasetums
Yeah.
are great too, but they're just too big. I cannot do them in a tent.
I remember you saying, man, I can't devote any more space to catasetums, and that was like you had one or two, and now you've got a lot.
Yeah, I've been able to get rid of some of my big Cattleyas, so that's given me some space.
Yeah, and those Cycnoches, you can see that Varsavixii is really taken off.
Oh yeah, he's happy.
They get big, twice as tall, 3 times as round. Yeah,
Good, let's do it.
yeah.
Things that grow straight up are good.
Oh, it's you got that horizontal space limitation, but vertical is okay.
I got tons of vertical space. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
All right. Well, good chatting with you, Stephen.
Yeah, good to see you, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Okay. See you later.
See ya.
Stay cool.
Yeah, for sure. Bye.
Bye.
Hold on 1 second. Fly. God damn it. Hold on 1 second.
This is clearly going to be in the bloopers reel. Man, that thing was going straight for your face.
I know, and he was going in my nose, and it's super itchy. Oh, I see him. He's over here.
Oh, did you get it? Oh,
Okay.
damn. Look at that.